So today I've got Tyler Trowbridge.
You already said it wrong.
Trowbridge.
Disrespecting me off the bat.
On the show, and we met about, 4 years ago now, probably?
Yeah, probably.
And you were the first person to rent in our house that we owned in Brookswood there, and you were young, had to move out at the age of 17, and you were paying rent, making money online already at that age, and that's what we're going to talk about today is your sort of history, why you had to move out at that age, what kind of happened, and how you made everything work, and where you've got to from that today with your business and other ventures that you've been on. So I think it's a really good story. And if you want to give a little bit of, a quick intro or background.
Yeah, totally. Like, well, first I just want to say thanks for having me on here, bro. It's nice.
No problem.
I like your setup. I think you're going to have a lot of success with this. And it's actually very motivating for me because I want to start my own podcast. But getting back to your question, like, my name's Tyler Trowbridge, originally from Calgary, Alberta. I moved here when I was 6 to Langley, BC with my mom and my dad. And actually, that first year when we moved here, my mom and dad had my brother. So that's how that all happened. But yeah, I moved here. I think my parents just moved here because they liked the weather. Like, they came out here for vacation once to see a friend, and they're like, this is great. Can I swear on this? No.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
okay. I just don't care.
It's going to be hard not to swear.
I tried not to, and then I realized, like, fuck, how you
Fuck
not
'em.
swear the whole time?
Yeah. You see in the background it says, fuck the news. That's the vibe over here. But yeah, like, I met Shelby I met Shelby through Jamie, his brother. I think Jamie was looking for some sort of web development help, but so that's kind of how we got all started.
He found you in Craigslist.
Found me on
Craigslist for a web developer.
Yeah, Craigslist. Craigslist has been awesome. I really am a big fan of Craigslist. I don't go on there as
Craigslist has
much.
changed your life, bro.
Yeah, literally, it has definitely changed my life. So I started out just being a kid, really like a gamer, nerdy kid, right? Like, I came here in Langley, Douglas Park Elementary, shout out. Me and my friend Brandon would just play games. We'd play RuneScape all day.
Was it just mainly RuneScape?
RuneScape and Minecraft, but RuneScape first.
Yeah.
That taught me so much about random things in life. Just like the coins, like buying and trading stuff, that just got my mindset working in a certain way. But after RuneScape, it was just like being on computers, involved in technology, being interested in like just computers. I was on my computer all day, every day, right? Like,
yeah.
I've never been a sports guy. I don't know shit about sports. My grandma knows more about football than me. That's a fact. I don't know anything about sports. So yeah, just being always involved in computers and liking computers. That got me into web design somehow. I just remember this distinct story of me getting a haircut. I was just literally at this local barber shop. I think it was called Shoe Salon or something like that. And we were just chatting, and somehow we just ended up talking about marketing and stuff like that. I was like, at this time I was probably like literally 13 years old. And I've always been interested in business as well. My dad kind of has problems with that because he's a lot less capitalistic than me, and he always thinks I'm about the money, but it's really just a love for passion and growing businesses, because I think businesses do a lot for the world. But yeah, like going back, like I was just at getting a haircut. Buddy was talking about marketing. So I just like decided like, I eventually just ended up offering this to make this guy a website because I was just playing around with it at my house. Like people involved in web design will know you can make a really, really simple web designs with like, I could show you in 5 minutes kind of thing. It would look like crap, but you'd technically be making a website, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing this for the haircutter I was at.
And that was the first website you ever made?
Yeah. It was sweet. Like, it was all red. It was just like, it was terrible, but it was like, it had his logo on it, all the address. It was basically like a digital business card. but I mean, it didn't really go anywhere. He didn't really like it. I liked it. It was cool, but like, it was just not, fit for any business. It was elementary.
It was like in a little art piece.
Yeah. Like it was like a doodled on a freaking piece of paper and like, but it was a website. But yeah, so that got me started. I think the dude actually would just like offered me like a free haircut.
Yeah.
Like sweet.
Oh, that's
like,
a wicked trade.
Yeah, man. We're trading services off the bat. So yeah, it was cool. That's kind of, and then ever since that, Craigslist has been dropping gems from the sky. Shout out Craigslist. Like, I just posted out an ad where it was very, it was actually like, the ad read something like, "Hey, I'm a new web designer. I'm young. I'm passionate. I just want to learn and get out there and get some experience. Let me help you and your business get some experience in web design, and let me help grow my portfolio," kind of thing.
Yeah.
That worked so well. That there's many people who post those ads on Craigslist and stuff like that, but that worked so well for me, like literally nonstop since I've been age 14, like 14 to probably 17. I was just naturally getting leads off Craigslist free, and they were qualified. Like, I was making decent money in high school through this, so it's actually pretty helpful. And that kind of stems into this whole like life situation thing, right?
Yeah.
Where like really like there's never been any money in my family, so it's always been like, if you want something, work for it.
Yeah,
and like you buy it yourself. Like, it wasn't one of these scenarios where I'd go ask my mom to buy it and she'd say no because she doesn't want to buy it for me. It's one of those scenarios where like I wouldn't go ask my parents for anything because I know they still need to pay the bills. They don't have any money, and like we don't have any food. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was so obvious. Like, I wouldn't go ask for a new bike. Like,
yeah, they weren't saying no because they didn't want you to have it. It's because they legitimately couldn't buy it for you.
Legitimately, yeah. And like, I mean,
I think that's something that people don't experience that these days anymore. I mean, especially out here in Vancouver,
yeah,
you have to have money to live here. So most of the people that are living in these areas, I mean, chances are they can afford to buy most of the things that they want. I mean, mainly one of them is just being able to live and eat out here is that in itself.
Yeah, and like that goes further into it. Like, I don't think people know how low income housing works. Like,
well, let's do a little I guess moving out here.
Yeah.
So you moved out here when you were 6 from Calgary.
Yep.
What was your like kind of lifestyle, family, home situation like in Calgary, if you remember? And then how did that change when you came here? Or like, was it always, were you?
Oh, this is big. Yeah. Like, a very important part of like growing up was in Calgary. Like, my grandma raised me. Like,
okay,
I lived with my mom and dad, but like I say, my grandma raised me specifically because that's where all of my memories are. Like, actually, from age 1 to 6, I only have a few select memories. They're all with my grandma, right?
Yeah.
So I really think that was a big change.
Did you guys all live together?
No, like my mom and dad lived with me. We were in just an apartment building, kind of just like a crappy apartment in Calgary, South Calgary. And then my grandma I would always be with her. She'd pick me up, take me back from school, kind of thing. We'd get, like, she always take me to Dairy Queen and stuff. I just remember that. It was great. Like, so that was like, and then moving away from my grandma at 6, we moved out to Langley. That was a total swap because now I'm actually being raised by my parents, I feel like, and like fully.
She couldn't come at the moment's notice or wasn't able to.
We went from seeing her every day to like every year, right?
Yeah,
She would actually drive out or fly out from Calgary. So it was a big difference. And that was I don't remember much from like before BC, but yeah, I was in Montessori. That was one thing. My grandma actually, like, I'm talking with my mom, like, getting this history. My grandma, like, made sure I went into Montessori, which is like, I don't actually know the proper way to describe it, but it's just a different version of like preschool or kindergarten.
Oh, okay,
kind
it's
of
just
thing.
better.
Yeah, it's better. It's more involved. Like, when instead of like, I think in kindergarten, like, I don't think they're teaching you, you know, a lot. Like
it's just like a fucking daycare.
It's basically daycare. Yeah. Where I think, but like Montessori is more like we were doing like math like early. We were doing like actual events. It was like school. So I remember that. And yeah, that was a big part of like age 1 to 6. And then once I came here, you know, it was grade 1 at Douglas Park.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So then you guys came out here. Then what did life look like after that when you were starting to be raised by your parents? And at this point, you didn't have your younger brother yet?
He was just born.
When you moved out here.
So my brother's 7 years younger than me. So he was born like late in the first year that we were here in Langley. And
so yeah, then what did it look like growing up in BC throughout elementary and stuff?
Shout out to my uncle, like, because my uncle actually was what allowed this to all happen. Like, my uncle actually, like, my parents were like, my parents don't really think about the things they do. So they moved out here, but they didn't have enough money to do that. Like, they just, like, did it. Like, they don't think about it.
They didn't really have a plan or savings
and nothing. So my uncle is, like, the reason I'm allowed to even be here, because he like, spent, like, 10-15 grand to, like, buy the U-Haul, move all our furniture, like, put the down payment on the apartment so we could stay there. Like, he's actually what made that all happen, right? And I say shout out because my parents never paid him back for that. Like, that was just a good move on his part. So, like,
he was just helping.
Yeah, thankful for that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But
yeah, he helped you guys get out here.
Yeah. So, like, we were living in a place called Park Terrace, it was just across the street from my school. But, like, now that I'm older, people call that place Crack Terrace because it's just, like, straight up, like, it's like ghetto, you know? Like, it's like where low income people who do drugs, like, you know, go and live, right? So it's not like, a great place.
I guess at the time, did you really realize what was, like, did you realize that you were, like, I don't really know what you even call that as, like, a family term, but I mean, I guess sort of low income, living in kind of like a weird, sketchy spot. Like, did you have feelings of that? Did you feel like you were kind of, you know, not as good as other people or things like that ever? Or did you just not really notice?
It's a good question. There's always been some difference. Like, I think everybody just, I don't know. I don't really know, but I mean, there's a little
it's
bit
kind of
like
tough,
it's a tough question to even think back on, but, like, I've always just felt different than the other kids. That's for sure. Like, always, like, no one understands how my world is completely different than your world, you know? Like, that's what they don't understand. And I think that was really a big struggle growing up. Like, just like school, I don't like school is good for some people, but, like, for me, like, it wasn't really a great time, you know? Like, it was very, like, a hard struggle, like, even physically, like, I was just bigger than everybody, right? Like, I was, like, 200 pounds, like, you know, I was overweight for, like, being 15, you know? So even just little things like that always stood out in school and never fit in. And I think that stems a little bit from the low income, because people can kind of sense that, right? Like, my mom looks low income. She doesn't look like other people's moms. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's all weird. Like, there's always, every little thing is different. You know?
Yeah, it's all that little stuff. And I was going to say, like, you know, you're saying you were bigger back then. Like, and before, when you're talking about how you couldn't, you know, like, sometimes you couldn't afford food and things like that.
Yeah.
What did your diet look like? Because I feel like for a lot, you know, when I see, you know, I watch documentaries or things and I see low income people and people complaining about food and stuff, they're buying the cheap garbage, refined stuff because that's what's affordable. Like, you can buy fucking Twinkies and chocolate bars and shit like that because they're piss cheap and it fills you up. Yeah. So,
and that is a terrible part of this world, because that is not that is terrible. Like, literally, that is so true. And that is what is actually keeping a lot of people down. And that's, like, what I was eating. Like, you look at fat kids and you shouldn't be mad at the fat kid. You should be mad at their parents. Well, that's it.
And sometimes for you too, it's like you didn't really have a choice, and maybe neither did your parents because they didn't know. Like,
No.
if you don't have the knowledge of what's going on with that food, and if you don't have the money, what else are you supposed to do? Like, you're just trying to keep
Yeah.
your family alive, right? And like, I don't
Well, and
know.
like it's also like the support services. Like I don't know if you know what the food bank is. Like
No, I have no clue.
there's a food bank in every city. So like a community, like you'll go to the grocery store and you'll see those boxes that are like donate food,
Mm-hmm.
and those boxes all go to the food bank. And like there's a Langley food bank, a Surrey, like a Vancouver.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
yeah.
have a bunch in Vancouver. But like
So were you getting food from those?
yeah, I've been there before many times. That's where all my Christmas presents came from too. Like all like and my point about the food banks is this, you would think that people would donate good food,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not really the case. They donate, actually a lot of the things that get donated are things that are in the grocery store that are expiring and are about to go bad,
Mm-hmm.
and by the time they actually reach the low income families at the food bank, all this food is expired. So
Yeah.
like that's what I'm eating is like expired shit and like pizza pops and like soup and
Yeah.
like not good stuff.
Because
you
it's
know?
all has to be canned. Like
all
whenever you
gotta
want
be-
to
yeah.
donate to a food bank, it has to be canned or packaged or whatever. So like, how
Or
much?
just shitty food with full of preservatives,
That's
like
what I
fishy
mean.
crackers or some
Yeah.
shit, like fruit
It-
snacks.
Yeah, it has to be something that holds time because
Yeah.
it can't. Yeah,
No,
if it's
there's
gonna
no
go.
fresh food at
Yeah,
a food bank. No.
yeah, yeah.
no,
No, that's
no produce. So it's like that. That keeps you down. Like even looking at my parents today, they still are like they don't eat good food. They
Mhm.
don't like, and this is something like recently I've noticed is now I have a fucking chef. So like
Yeah.
I am eating so good, and my mindset is like 2 to 3 times better.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel more energy, my brain is clearer, I have
Mhm.
better thoughts, better motivations, and then like there's the whole physical side of that with bad food too, right?
Yeah.
Is if you eat bad food, you crave bad food.
Oh yeah,
And
always.
your systems get filled up with that and actually
Mhm.
start to crave that.
Yeah.
And that's a loop of a lot of low income people
Mhm.
and that's why you see like these low income fat people. Like I'm not trying to hate, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it just
Yeah, you get stuck in
sucks.
it. You don't know any better. You don't have a choice. Like this is what you're getting.
It's very
and
expensive
that's
to eat
it.
healthy as well.
Yeah.
So
No, it's a really bad thing that's going on. But
yeah, like even like the I was saying like some people don't know like these food banks, like a big thing is like the holidays for low income people, right? Like like I don't know if I've ever got a real gift for my parents, like for Christmas. Like
Mhm.
like genuinely, like I would go to the food bank with my mom, and there'd be like this hidden room in the back, and that's where people would donate like gifts
Mhm.
and like stuff like that. And it was just like every Christmas you'd get to like go in this room, and it's just like it just looked like shelves on a store full of like like a Nerf gun and like a
yeah, yeah.
coloring set and like like an etch a sketch or some shit, like, and you can just go pick your Christmas gift, which it's good, but like it totally diminishes the fact of like I got this from my mom and she went out and shopped for me, right?
Yeah, it's not the same
It's material.
effect. Yeah.
It's trying to help, but it doesn't actually do the job,
Yeah, it doesn't replace like spending Christmas morning with your parents and opening up the gifts
Yeah.
that they thoughtfully went out and bought for you. And I mean, even, and I think people a lot of times take that stuff too for granted, right? Like, all you're thinking about is the gifts. And like for some people, even for your family, it probably would have been nice just to be able to sit down and make a nice Christmas dinner, which might
Yeah.
not have been possible with the money, right? And it's like, even without the gift, some people can't even experience just the dinner, right? So,
Nope.
yeah, I think that's
And I think this is like for a lot of like poor people out there. Like I wouldn't consider my family poor. Like there's a lot of poor people, but like low income poor, like whatever. I think holidays are the saddest days for those people because
Mhm.
it's like there's all this expectation,
yeah,
and this expectation is really marketing, and it's
Yeah.
not real. Like like actually what I'd love to do for Christmas is actually just have a nice dinner with my family where gifts are not involved, and we
Yeah.
just talk and have a civil discussion. That's really what holidays are about,
hmm
being with your family. But all of this material stuff builds up and builds all this pressure, and it's like it's not real really. So
I think
that sucks.
yeah, and especially when you're younger, right? Like you're going through school and doing these things, and every other kid at school
It's like, oh yeah, I got a new dirt bike.
Yeah, I got this and
Xbox,
that. And
check my iPhone.
Yeah, and I remember being in elementary school and, you know, the first thing you would do on Christmas Day is message all your friends and say, oh my God, what'd you get? What'd you get? And all anyone talking about for 2 weeks is what the fuck they got for Christmas.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. I think even at those young age, it's hard to just enjoy that time anyways because you're thinking about his gifts, whereas now we're old enough that, like, no one gives a shit about presents anymore.
No, like, and obviously I'm grateful now because, like, this Christmas, I'm not doing Christmas. What I'm going to go do is find some way to volunteer all my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other people need Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't, you know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what I'm going to be doing.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, if anyone can share places or whatever like that need help on Christmas, I'd love to do that.
I know people who go down and like make meals and stuff like that and
Exactly.
do things like that or give meals out or whatever, but yeah, there are definitely a lot of stuff like that out there that can be done.
Yeah, but I don't know what tangent we just went on. I'm not trying to say I'm low income or anything like that. Like,
yeah. So
that was the upbringing though.
Yeah, so I think for that, like, kind of how, you know, the going through school and, you know, you kind of always sort of felt different. And, you know, I think it's just crazy because not many people ever experienced that. Like, you know, like, growing up, I never thought for a second, like, shit, we can't afford to eat that tonight, whatever it was. Like, our dad bought whatever we wanted. Friends would come over and we'd go to the keg and he'd pay for 6 of our friends to eat dinner. And that was normal for us, right? Fuck. And, I mean, it's completely different realms and, like, but I think there's good and both about bad, right? Like, and I think what's really cool about your story is that stuff, it instilled certain things in you to go out and make money and have to do things for yourself at such a young age that everybody nowadays, where their parents buy them whatever they want, they don't have that sense of value or that drive or anything to get out there and get a life for themselves, right? They're just living under free shit for years. Yeah. So,
there's a lot of pressure that it just like there's like it'll never go like look, like if I don't make enough money, I'm probably like I don't have a support system. Like I'm not gonna go, like all I hear is these people, they're like, oh yeah, well I sucked at budgeting this month, I'm over on my credit card, so I asked my dad for money. What the fuck, like what does that even mean? Like is okay, well, like why don't you just keep doing that?
Yeah,
you probably are. You know? So like that's the thing. Like if I don't have enough money, like I guess I like, you know, I don't know.
Right, legitimately, like not. Yeah,
I have that's like, you know why I don't lease a car and I own my car? Sense of security. Yeah, you know, like I could sleep in that thing and I don't have to pay anybody to own that. Like that's some real ghetto shit that'll actually never happen. But like that's what runs. But through
worst
my
case
mind.
Scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, and like for me, I mean, I have that parents thing, right? Like for me, worst case scenario, I make no money. Okay, well, I go sleep on my dad's couch. Guys got like
you sent me something that like we do business together too, right? And I like was grabbing your credit card address, and it's still your dad's address.
Yeah. All my stuff is still my dad's address because I'm like, I don't know, like I move around quite a bit and
That'd be nice.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I just send everything there because then it doesn't matter where I go. I always have that one place where my mail and things are attached to.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, even little things like that, right? Like I never think about it that way, where some people legitimately don't just have their parents' house that they can hook their shit up to and use that. Yeah. So, and I mean, yeah, even for me, I never even would have thought about that.
Yeah. And like I don't know, like, it sucks. Like, dude, like my parents, like they live all at separate addresses to this date. Like, I don't even know my mom or dad's address. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. They just move around a lot. So like, it's not even worth me saving that in my memory.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. Like, just totally different perspective. And
no,
like,
100%.
You know, it's fine though. Cause like I still can, it's not like I'm different. Like I still can connect with people like you, like Lucas, my business partner, is definitely the complete opposite of that, like financially or like family wise. So like, it's a good perspective.
Yeah. You know, so we kind of, I guess, so I guess the family life and growing up through elementary school, but then when you first moved out, like how old were you and what stemmed that? Why, when did you make that decision? Why, kind kind of around the moving out and going out on your own? Because I think
that got back into the website stuff.
Yeah. But like, was there a certain like why?
The real reason was because, well, there's the reason everybody moves out, which is like you don't want to deal with your parents anymore, and that's obviously a reason. But the other reason, which is why it happened so early, is because through this web design freelancing I was doing, I was bringing in more income than my whole family in my room, in my closet.
Yeah.
So it's this odd perspective of like, I've got some self-confidence now because I'm out there selling. I'm out there having meetings with clients. I'm literally like, I lived really close to a Starbucks. So I would schedule all my client meetings at Starbucks and walk from my house 2 minutes, go have like a super sick meeting with a guy. And they're like pumped because I was literally 14 and they're like, I'm like, yeah, like I'll do all this shit for basically free. And there's no risk on your end. So I was making like, I'd say, well, there's even like, it even goes back further, like from this, like even before web design, I ran like a RuneScape bot farm, so that's like botting, like cheating on a game, right? Man, throughout high school, that thing was paying me like probably $1,500 a month. Just literally passive. Which is awesome.
Yeah, and that's a lot for someone in high school.
14, making passive income, $1,500 a month. That was sick, right?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, but I couldn't flex on anybody. I can't do anything because, like, dude, my dad makes $2,000 a month. So that's really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what stemmed to moving out. Is like I had maybe like $5,000 in savings. I had stable income. It was risky, but yeah, and then like it was the timing. So one of those clients I was meeting with, this is like literally the story. Like I was scheduling Craigslist meetings at the local Starbucks. That's what I was doing every day. There was a guy who did cabinet beds, which are like kind of like Murphy beds. There was a guy who did.
You were still in school at this point.
Yeah.
You're still in high school, so you would go to school and then do these meetings after school.
Yeah, and a lot on weekends.
Oh, okay.
Weekends are good. Yeah, like, and then, so, like, one of these people I met with was Jamie and your brother, and, like, we had just, I don't know, I think we'd hit it off through email, just being entrepreneurs, and, like, wasn't aware of how that word is or what it meant. I was just doing my own thing, but, like, it's cool to connect with someone else doing their own thing. So going there and meeting with Jamie at Starbucks, like, we had just had, like, 3-4 hour conversations, back to back, and then it was, let's do this again, and we're just making good friends out of that. So that was like Craigslist dropping another, angel out of the sky, right? Yeah. Like, that's awesome, right? But yeah, so it started with that, freelancing, just making websites, WordPress for people in the industry, like WordPress websites, doing mock-ups, logo development, anything I would get my hands on. One of the coolest experiences I had was I was like younger, and the Murphy bed guy, he took me on a day trip to I just was sitting in his passenger seat the whole day.
Yeah.
And he was just like going around doing his business, doing his rounds. He had his little office. I like chilled out with him, printed some paper. We just did his whole work day with him. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I actually like fumbled the relationship like a couple of years later, and he doesn't talk to me anymore. He won't talk to me, but it's it's fine.
Yeah.
Things happen. But yeah, it was just cool doing that. So that was the reason why I moved out, was just because it got so awkward with my parents. And then the timing of Jamie buying a house, you guys buying a house. So I was like, this is the perfect jump. I don't think there's going to be another jump like this. So like, why not do that jump? And then the rent at your place was cheap. I was like,
yeah, because you were just doing a room, so it was pretty affordable.
Yeah. So that was fun. And that was in the last year of high school.
So you were in grade 12.
Yeah.
And you moved out.
Like
because
17.
Because you couldn't drive at that point. Like, how were you getting to school? You were busing?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
It was like because like high school was just about to end. There was only 2 weeks left in like the final year of and me and Justice moved in together at your guys' place. And there was only 2 weeks left, so I just did 2 weeks on the bus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But Yeah, there was even a short term after that where I went to University of Fraser Valley, but like I said, school just not for me.
Yeah.
Just not for me.
Well, because I remember you guys doing that RuneScape botting still in our house a little bit. You would run them at night, or I don't even know if it was all the time, but because we had the biggest TELUS plan for like home internet, and it was 500 gigs of data. I mean, I just assumed they had some sort of unlimited plan for houses. Like, I didn't know. That was our first time ever having to pay our own bills and stuff. So, I remember getting the thing in the mail, and we would go over the 500 gigs every month. Like, yeah, there was like 5 or 6 of us living in there, but like, holy shit. I was like, man, really? Like 500 gigs? And like the charge wasn't that much. I mean, we'd be an extra like $30 a month or something because we'd be going like 200 over, but it was crazy because I remember, you guys were running those things all the time.
Yeah, the RuneScape bots were cool, man. Like I wish I could somehow still do that, but it just isn't worth anybody's time. Like, I'd probably break the game by now. But yeah, like we were just like literally had 8 accounts. Like in RuneScape, you know a player where you level up your player, right? You try to get everything to 99 and in all your skills to 99. Well, like most people just like it's a very intensive game, which actually I think RuneScape was a big part of like my work ethic. Like to RuneScape, to get a 99 in RuneScape, that might take you 3 months of gameplay. Like not like playing a couple hours every day, like literally 24 hours times 3 months to get that one skill 99. Like, and that shit, like it's not fun playing the game. You're literally clicking on a tree, cutting it down for 3 months straight. Like, so like the game was cool in terms of like leveling up and trying to build up your character, which is like what I kind of want to do in life now, right? Like build my character. I think a lot of people have that mindset. But yeah, like RuneScape was I wish it was more prevalent still. But yeah, like just leveling up and like trying to like so with the RuneScape bots, like leveling up my character got old for me, and I met this person online who already had a bot farm, and he just kind of like showed me his way. I don't know why. I think it was just because we were like friends in the game. But he just showed me what he was doing. So eventually I was able to outbuy, like I had money from the web design stuff. So I was able to outbuy the hardware. Like I was able to buy more computers than this.
So you were reinvesting the money from the web developing into the RuneScape bot farming.
And the RuneScape bot farming was passive. It would work itself. So I was making passive income and then doing the web design for actual like fun, basically, which was still that's always been a blessing, is everything I've always done has just been fun for me, but it's made money on the side, which I think like is a huge blessing. So that was the RuneScape bots, and those were basically 8 accounts. It was awesome. We were farming lizards. Literally I controlled the RuneScape market for lizards at one point, which was sick. Like I would drop my like 1,000, like I'd harvest like a week's worth of lizards in the game. I'd drop them all on the market. Literally the price would crash. It was sweet. And then I'd like wait and bring them back up. And I was like, I had 2 choices. I could either ball out in the game and use all of this money I just generated to ball out, or just trade it for real world, like real cash. It was 52 cents per million coins. So you'd get 52 US cents for 1 million game coins. Man, I was generating like 16 million coins an hour. So like it was good. Like it was freaking awesome all night, 24 hours a day. My parents probably hated the electricity bill. But
you're making $8 an hour US to do nothing.
This like my flow was every 4 hours they needed to be reset. So it wasn't fully passive, but every 4 hours. So I just broke my day up into 4 hours. I like at 4 a.m. it would be like midnight, set them all up, go to bed. 4 a.m. wake up really quick in my boxers, reset them all while everybody's sleeping. And then just do it again. Cash out every week. You know, it was awesome. So
I mean, enabled you to do. I mean, that's a pretty cool start to be able to make that money in high school and be able to afford to move out from RuneScape and web design off Craigslist. And then kind of take it from there. And I mean, so I guess after moving out and then you were doing the web design stuff, what were you doing after that?
It's always just been web design.
Yeah, I guess
And
you just went through a few different
like
kind of
I've been
phases with
learning,
it.
there's so much to learn, like, and not just in web design. Like I'm really like, I feel like I coined this term from there's a guy named Sam Ovens.
Mm-hmm.
He's like a consulting.com is his thing. But he has a term called full stack person, and it's just where you have enjoyment in learning about different things, and what really gets you going is learning new things and getting good in all those things, and then leveraging all those skills together, creating a full stack person. So like being good in all the different realms, not just I'm a web developer or I'm a podcaster or I'm a welder, you know, like being a full stack guy, like that's what you want. That's what everyone wants in like the marketing world, even in like I don't know, if you were fixing a car, you wouldn't just want a guy who can do the brakes. You want a guy who can do everything, right?
Exactly.
So it's like becoming a full stack person is what is being interesting, and that takes a lot of learning. Like, dude, I've just like been learning and working for like ever. That's all I do. So, and it's fun. That's why I can do it forever, is because it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much saw you guys go through the realms with a lot of different stuff. Like you got Jamie started Star Spark.
Yeah.
You're doing that web design stuff, and then that fell through. And then
yeah, that's where the Jamie thing eventually led up. Like me and your brother, like eventually just wanted to combine forces because he was Jamie's very entrepreneurial as well, and it's like we just ended up. He was going to be the business backbone to my technical side, and we were going to form an agency basically.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out of interest, I think. Like there's just Jamie wasn't fully into it, and then like there's just too much going on. It kind of fell over, but it was a really good experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But
no, that's awesome.
It's always been like I've thought about this recently, like what motivates me, and it's growth. Like it's growth in terms of life, and maybe that's cliche, but like like it's literally like growth in life, and then helping businesses grow. Like if I can have my business grow by helping other businesses grow, like dude, that's all there is. Like I hate these businesses that just make money on burning other businesses. That's
you really want to add some value.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been doing freelance stuff forever, like just working for yourself, which is what I would say like is great, because there's so many blessings to that, right? In so many different ways, and you know these benefits too. Like you live a pretty sweet life. You know?
Yeah, and some you forget, and I forget a lot. Where I'm like, fuck, like what the hell am I doing? Blah blah. And I'm looking around, everyone's like, man, you're living it, and I'm like, I am.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, like this was the dream. I mean, back in the day when you start a business, and the reason I think we all start our own thing is because you want to be able to do what you want. Like you're working for it and you do what you want every day. When I would work for other people, it's just the little shit that you forget about. Like you work at another job, when the buzzer goes off at 12, you have to take lunch. And I'm like, I'm not fucking hungry right now. Or maybe I'm really into what I'm working on and I don't want to take that break. I want to keep going. I'm productive with it. And then I forget about all that shit now, where I'm like, man, if I had to go back to a normal job, I don't know what the hell I would do. Like, I don't think it would work. And I mean, like, I don't have a problem getting up early or any of that stuff. It's not like I'm sitting around sleeping all day, but it's just the little shit that, like, I mean,
but that's a blessing from what you have already, because you look at these people that go to work and like not being specific about anybody, like, you know, but like these people, like say they have to get to work at 8 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m. Like their day is entirely focused around that one thing. Whereas like our mindset every single day when me or you wake up, it's like, let's pack this shit full of shit I like. Like, I have a day planner. I just literally write all the shit I want to do in it. And that's awesome. And then like, yes, like I do have stop working really hard at 9 p.m. on my day planner. I have to remind myself to stop working, which someone would be like, oh yeah, you know, you could just like go get a job and be done work at 5 p.m. and like live your life. But it's like, no, it's actually a benefit of being able to work that late and enjoy it. Like, whereas these people, they go to work at 8, they leave at 5, But like they can't even do that. They'll show up at 8:30, so they leave at 5:30, and their one thing, they literally screwed up the one thing they had to do for the day. It's like, come on. And that's so limiting in so many other ways. Like,
yeah, I think like even now it's like, okay, maybe I want to wake up this morning, go mountain biking for 2 hours and start work at 10, and then I'm going to work till 7, 8 p.m. or, then I take a break at 3 and I'm going to meet someone for lunch, and then, or a friend's in town and wants to grab coffee. It's like all these things that you just can't do with a regular job.
Yeah.
And it just like, I don't know, like jobs are really just so limiting. I think about all the stuff that I do in a day now that I'm able to do, and it's insane. Like I could, if I had to work for 8 hours, I would never be able to get as much.
The thing is, like, I work really hard, but I don't work 8 hours in a single go.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually like honestly, you'll ask the staff at the office, like, I eat freaking lunch at like 9:30. Like and in my lunch, cause like I have it prepared. Like what I get is every day 1 chicken breast, rice, and broccoli. And I mean, it's prepared for me, which is really nice. But I eat that at 9:30 a.m., which is kind of weird for some people. But like, that's how I work best. Like, if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. It's not like I'm not gonna wait to 12 because some thing that my previous self said, like, no, lunch is at 12. Like,
you can eat whenever you want.
I can eat when I want. I'll work when I want. And that's just like the 1% of the start of the luxuries of just like working for yourself, which is very like, that's what I look like, honestly, getting into like anxiety side of things. That is a giant stem of anxiety, because like I look around and every single person who went to school with me or was a friend or like just like same age group, man, like it's so different. Like I don't relate to those people. Like, this is completely different. Like, man, I don't even want to get into it. I don't want to be negative.
So are you saying that you get anxiety from what you're doing, or that they have anxiety?
I get anxiety from what people think life should be. Like, really, like I step out in the world and I'm like, if anyone fucks with me, I'm gonna be mad, because like, honestly, don't fuck with me, because like I'd rather be in my own bubble. Because that whole outside world, the whole like everything, just the norm of today, anxiety. Like, that's what it is. It's like, it's not fun for like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like the majority of people, I think, like I look around my friends, they're working really shitty jobs, they're getting underpaid, there's no future, they're actually not like doing well in like the whole other part of life, which is your life. Like, it's not work, and they're not doing anything in that regard. And that like, looking at the other side is where the anxiety comes from. Like, I get anxious when I feel myself getting closer to the other side and like my real life slipping away.
Like, if you're thinking of like failure or fear, when you're living in fear of being, having to live a life like that instead of what you are. And I think I mean, the anxiety thing, well, I guess the life thing where you talk about, what the hell are you saying?
Well, I just get like anxiety from every
source
around me.
Like, because what the other people are doing. So for you, I mean, that's what I liked, is that your whole story growing up, you've had that drive instilled in you to do these things, to be better, to build this stuff for yourself, because you never had these things handed to you. And those other people that you're talking about, that, when you think about living like that, they're living, it's because they just don't, I don't know, they just follow suit with everybody else. Their parents had a normal job.
In a flow, like, it's easier to flow through life. And like, I'm honestly blessed with being very self-aware. People have told me that, but like, I think that can be grown in people. Like, I'm very, like, a part of being self-aware is realizing how unaware of many things aware you probably don't even know you're not aware of. Right? Like, so like, it sucks that like a lot of people are unaware, but you can work on your awareness of yourself and start to like put check marks when things are right, and you think of those things and they're right, like reinforce it, right?
Yeah.
But like I look around on those people and they're unfortunately not self-aware, because no one's gonna be nice enough to like criticize them. Like it's really nice to criticize people and be like, look, like dude, like I just think if you changed your shirt, you'd look better. You know, like just criticize people because that's going to help them out.
Yeah, I think just most people aren't really open-minded to it, or they're not strong enough to take it as criticism without like feeling really shameful about it or something, because you're trying to give people I mean, a lot of times people just don't want the advice, or they don't know what to do with it, because you might say, you know,
I think because they suck at accountability. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it's just taking, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to think about what everybody wants or is doing.
It's like, I don't want to come across pushy in that sort of way. Like, obviously, my life is obviously not what people would want in some certain scenarios, right? But I guess what I'm getting to is like, just the way everybody's living is, I don't think it's correct. Like, I genuinely think the way things are sloping is that gives me anxiety. I have a buddy who just like, long relationship, and it just, now he's sloping negative, and it's like, man, like he lost his long relationship, just fell apart, whatever, but like now he's sloping downwards, and like that is the worst. Like that even gives me anxiety, because I'm like, man, I want to help him out, right? Like it sucks. And so I don't know.
Well, because I think what happens is, I mean, there's people don't know what makes them happy, like whether it be a job or like you're explaining with the relationship. So many people are tied into these relationships that they're like, the other person is what's making them happy. They're not really like, because yeah, it's tough. Okay, you had a relationship, it didn't work out. Like obviously that's sad, but people will go through those things for so long, and then they'll come out and they were never happy really by themselves before. They didn't really have a meaning or purpose to themselves. They were just, that person was like their meaning, which can be fine, but I think you definitely need both, because when that ends, then what? And like same with jobs, people just flow through life with no meaning or no purpose or no like.
It's the easiest way to do it.
There's nothing, but it's so, I don't know, that's just not really living. If you're just gonna work a job and piss around and laze around and not really, I don't know. I mean, I just think it's a really easy funnel to get stuck in, and that's what most people are. Like no one talks about that. You go to school and everyone thinks, well, what do you want to be for the rest of your life? And like, you don't even know. It's just like all you think about is going to school and then what you're going to be after. And then that's it.
When it's stressful, like I know, like, I think you've dealt with this stress. I think like the same person, the relationship person, like they deal with that as well. You know, like there's all this, and my brother's younger, 7 years younger than me. He's 14. Like he deals with, or he's 15, sorry. But he deals with like just I ask him what he wants to be, and there's that pressure. Like, oh yeah, like I want to play rugby or football professionally. Well, like step back. Like, I don't know, step back just a little bit and try other things out. Like just play around with it. Like there's all this focus on like you have to be this thing. Like why don't you actually just find out?
I think it's
easier
hard
to say from a perspective of awareness, right? Like because these people aren't in this mindset.
Well, I watched this documentary recently called In Search of Greatness, and it's about all the best sports players. There was like Wayne Gretzky, some football guy, baseball. There was a bunch of these people, and what they talked about, like even Wayne Gretzky, he said that he's like, man, I didn't just play hockey. He's like, I didn't know that I didn't want to be a professional hockey player. That wasn't really my goal. He's like, when the hockey season was over, threw my bag in the closet, I played baseball all summer. He's like, I wasn't like training hockey 24/7 since I was 9. And being able to play these other sports, he's like, it brought creativeness back to hockey. It wasn't just like funneled on hockey. I was learning everything and bringing all these other things I was doing back to hockey. And he's like, the reason I was really good is because I played a creative game and played different than everybody who was only playing hockey.
Such a good point.
And the football player was the same thing. He's like, man, I didn't even start playing football till I was 18. He did all these other things and then started playing football. Oh, man, I really like this. And then it clicked. It's not like he just did that one thing that he liked. So I really think getting out there and trying new things is huge. You have to do that. And like, I think that's a really tough thing for people to do. It's just,
there's too much societal pressure. Like
it's nerve-wracking.
From literally grade 1, they're like, what are you going to be? A doctor?
Yeah.
An astronaut? Like, what are you going to do? Firefighter?
And nobody really encourages you to jump around. Like when I was growing up and going through jobs, like my dad would get so mad at me when I would quit a job. He's like, man, like you should have worked there for 4 years and like got your, what the fuck's Red Seal ticket and all this shit. He's like, cause then if something doesn't work out in the future, at least you can fall back on that. And like, I never believed in falling back on it. I was like, man, what, you think I'm going to waste like
backup plans are,
because that
bullshit.
Like, yeah, that was 4 years ago. And like, if I think about it, if I would have taken that advice and built that and did that for 4 years, I built like my business now in the same time.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing whatever I want to do, making money.
This guy's basically retired.
Or
he just chills here, eats food all day, and records podcasts like a fucking living the dream.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's not that good.
It's good. It's good. But I mean, again, there's always room to grow. I mean, I played this comfort out for a little bit too long, and now I'm doing this, which is out of my comfort zone and trying new things again and that. But yeah, if I never would have taken that chance to try these new things, I'd still be sitting there doing the same shit. So I think it really comes down to like taking action on new things and doing what's uncomfortable, right?
Some of the best advice I've ever been told is, or not told, but I like was listening to something and probably a podcast, but it's do what you don't like.
Yeah.
Do that first. Take jobs like what is literally your worst nightmare. And that I've never had to do that, which is nice, but I mean, I've done that in other weird ways.
Yeah.
You know, but like do your worst nightmare and you'll sort of like, you'll leave in a week, but in that week, you're going to have like literally an epiphany of what you do like, you know?
And that's the other thing too, when you're trying new things, you may not find what it is that you crazy like, but you're going to find what you don't like. So at least you know, okay, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Start trying
chopping things off the list.
Yeah. I mean, it's I just find people will sit around for too long trying to like just wait for that light bulb to go off. Like, this is it. This is going to be my life. But you're never going to know without going out there and taking action. It's just impossible.
Yeah, no, it won't happen. And that's like what every single person who's not self-actualized is doing pretty much.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's what gives me anxiety, because if I went like everywhere I look, like my mom, my dad, my friends, my some of my family, people I know, like business owners, just honestly mostly people who've gone to school with me, like they're not self-actualized. And like that goes back to Maslow, like you need to like have shelter, of course, and all those things, but like it's like you need to actually be self-actualizing yourself and finding what is driving you. And like through Craigslist and through helping businesses, I was able to do that. Like,
and those things always change too, right? Like, I mean, for me, what drove me 4 years ago is completely different now. Like, that's the reason that I'm sitting here in front of these with you instead of building big trucks and fancy cars and stuff, right? That's something that I really cared about. And then shit happens in life and you experience new things and you care about different things. Like, and it just changes. Like, I think the idea of having like a 50-year career until retirement in the same industry or job is just insane. Like, I don't believe for a second that starting a job when I'm 20 until I'm 65 and retiring, that I would enjoy that the entire time.
Yeah, no, I think those people settled.
Yeah.
Like they gave, and that it's hard. It's easy to like settle because things can be good, right? Like if you were like 40 and had like family and like you just had a nice house, like settling doesn't sound so bad, right?
No.
But it's knowing what you want to settle onto.
Is
the important part, which, you know, most people's like dreams are very not thought out. Like even like, or just asking people, they don't actually like, there's a concept of reverse engineering and they don't know that concept, first of all, but like second of all, like they don't start imagining what it could be and then working towards that. They just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Or like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a family. Like,
Yeah, there's not much context behind it.
Well, think it out. Like, how many kids are you gonna have? Are you gonna have like a nice house? Is it gonna be brown, or like what's the stucco gonna look like? Straight up, like all of these
Like
things.
really envision it.
Envision it, and then like you can actually work towards it. I
Mhm.
think that is not what people do.
No, and I mean, I think most people just have general goals as well. Where like, I mean, everyone that I talk to wants to. The two basic things are get a good job and buy a house. And for me, I'm really happy I got to experience those things at the age that I did.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of people, especially in Vancouver, are buying homes in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And
How old were you?
23 or 4, I think. 22 maybe. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think 23 kind of deal. And I mean, I like we got I wouldn't I mean like luckily our dad could help us. He lent us $200,000 to buy the house. But he only did that because he saw how hard we were working with our businesses and doing these things. Like we were obviously capable of handling that. So we did. And I mean, it was cool, but you know, I wouldn't like, I'm just really, I wouldn't want to set that as my 40-year plan, you know, because it didn't make me any happier. I thought like people would think differently of me. Like, oh my God, he bought a house. Like he's so cool, or all that kind of shit. And then I got the house and you know, you're just living in it and you're fixing it and it's fine. And like, obviously we did well on it investment wise, but I mean, I would do it again for an investment if I thought we would get the same return, but I don't see that in the near future. So you know, everyone keeps asking me now, like, oh, when are you going to buy another house? I'm like, honestly,
Once
don't care.
Crashes, yeah.
Yeah. Like it doesn't make me any happier having one. Like like, it's just the kind of life that you want to live, right? I have friends now who are my age, 26, and they're buying houses. And then they're coming to me and saying, man, like you're out doing all these things and stuff. Like I want to do that. I'm like, well, sell your fucking house. Why are you're 25? Why are you spending every weekend cutting your lawn and like building a new fence? Like, I mean, if you like doing that, that's fine. But if you don't, like clearly you're expressing that you want to go out and be adventurous and do these things, then buy a house in 10 years and go see the world. Like why?
Well, that's like the perspective of not looking at your consequences, right? So like you like most people just look at the first consequence, and like this is another theory I've stole from Sam Ovens, but it's just like, look, like you buying that house, yes, like the first consequence, you own a house, so like there's all those things off your shoulder, but then all of the second, third, fourth consequences, the next levels down are like, now you're fixing your fucking fence. Now you're like literally like I can like all these things. Your guys' house specifically had problems with like plumbing and drainage issues in the front, and that probably caused you a ton of stress. And even looking back at all of those like all of the other consequences, like there's so many things like we can go back and like even like there's so many things that came in consequence of that house for you and even like me. But looking at those consequences are not what people do. They just look at the first one.
Yeah. And I think, like for us, it was like, man, it was just constant reinvestment into the house, fixing it, all this stuff is like, I realized really quick, well, I don't give a shit about owning a house anymore. I was like, this is fucking out of control. I'm spending all my time on this. And then I think too, selling it, like most people are so scared to sell because they're scared about buying again. It's like, well, I have a house. So, you know, if I sell it, what if I don't get another house? Like, fuck, who cares? Like literally just buy a house anytime you want to buy a house.
It's
I don't know.
The world is going to move to renting anyways, so I think that's part of how things will change.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like a lot of time for even like, I don't know, not anymore, but when I first sold and I was renting, at the beginning I didn't care because I was just renting and people like, oh, are you going to buy again? I'm like, oh, I'm just watching the market and seeing. And I mean, I didn't really have any intentions, but you know, if you tell people you're not going to buy again, they think you're crazy. And I wouldn't really talk about it that much. I'd be like, well, I don't know. And then now, because I've been renting for over a year now, I'm kind of like, people are like, oh, well, when are you going to buy again? I'm like, you know, I'm not going to fucking buy. It's like, I don't even care. Like, I'm happy renting. There's nothing wrong with it. Whereas like people kind of look down on it. Like, you know, like, oh, do you own a house? Like, no, I'm renting.
Well,
like,
that's not like that baby boomer kind of parent mindset where they're like, go have a education and a house and kids. Like, like you could, there's multiple ways to do that, right? Like it doesn't come down to paying the bank back, you know?
No,
like,
it doesn't matter.
And I think looking at you now, like we probably both agree, like, that was probably a time in your life when you were less happy. Like, I can even just see it. Like, you look, actually, like, I feel like you look younger now. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, yeah, you were just, like, stressed and pissed off. Like, so
all the time.
it's, especially when there's kids on your deck, like, smoking weed all day, right? And, like, just gross. Like, you're more clean than other people. Like, there's so many parts of house ownership. Like, I don't own a house, but, like, I rent. I'm technically a landlord right now, and it's like, dude, these freaking people are just gross.
Yeah.
Roommates, you're gross. You're so gross. Like, man, jeez. Like, I couldn't even imagine. There's so many things that come along with, like, owning a house. So
especially when you're going to rent it out again, which is what we were doing. I mean,
and that's the only way you can.
Yeah. It's different if you're going to buy, like, a big house and live in it by yourself, and that's it.
Yeah.
But
I think those people are already rich.
Yeah.
Like, they already have it figured out, right?
That's not me yet.
So, yeah, but I mean, just stemming back to all these things, like, I just feel blessed, honestly, like, really happy. Like, I went on a vacation, not really a vacation, but went back to Calgary. I guess it was 2 weeks ago now. And just saw, like, my cousins, aunts, uncles, all the family, like, Nana, Pa, like, it was just very, I was explaining my business, my life, like, how things are going, how I personally feel. And, like, that is very reinforcing. Like, I left Calgary just feeling super motivated. Like, let's go get this. Like, let's do this. And, like, that is very motivating. And that's just one of those other blessings of, like, working for yourself. But I don't think it's actually working for yourself, which is, like, most people, like, connect all these things to, like, working for yourself or being a small business owner. I think, like, more people need to get interested in self-improvement.
Yeah, I mean,
this whole mindset of, like,
you need that to build a business. I mean, that's kind of what it's based off of, is you're wanting to make yourself better and everything else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it all goes hand in hand. Like, for me, I never took care of myself. When I first started my business, I worked harder and thought, work all day long, sleep 4 hours, get up at 5. I'm that super cool business owner. And that only lasts so long.
That's what the media puts out or whatever. Like, that's what people think it's like, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lifestyle, a lot of people are trying to sell, I guess, in some of their courses and things like that. I don't know, but
it looks nice. Like, I think we can both say it's fake. It's fake. Like, the real, like, it's not working these 4-hour work weeks. Like, you might be working a 4-hour work week in, like, a temporary span, like, maybe say over 8 months. Like, oh yeah, we've done really great, and now I can just spend 4 hours a day on it. Well, that doesn't last. Like, that,
no,
it doesn't last for anybody, because, like, I don't care if you have $100 billion, like, those over those 8 months, like, that $100 billion guy, like, he's gonna spend that just as equally over all of those days. So it doesn't last for anybody. And like, the real problem is those courses and those programs and all the bullshit online is so easy to sell, because everybody wants something else. Like, nobody likes, like, I think the general trend is everybody's sad right now. Like, like, literally, like, maybe this is where I've put my, like, scope of, like, what I'm viewing, but, like, it seems like there's a lot of depression, like, anxiety, like, not self-confidence, like just general, like, uneasiness with where the world's going. I think I see that in everyone who's not, self-actualized around me. And, like, I think that's sad, and I think that makes it really easy to sell this lifestyle when, like, the actual lifestyle is completely different, and like literally completely different. So
I think it's also, like, for me, I don't like that lifestyle. When you're in it and living it, I didn't notice. No. Like, I wasn't really aware of how good it was, right? I was constantly in that mindset of, like, I'll be happy when this happens and when that happens. And, like, I was running my own business, I was doing what I wanted, but it doesn't mean I was happy with it. I was like, fuck, like, that's why I was working so much, because I was like, okay, like, gotta do this, gotta do that, just one more of this, one more of that. And then that goes on for 4 years. And then, like, finally now, it takes that self-improvement and working on yourself to be happy with where you are, no matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're working a normal job or you're $100 billion guy, if you're not doing that self work to appreciate everything you have, then it's not really worth it. No. In my opinion, at the end, because you're not enjoying it, you're not even happy with it, but other people will see you doing it and they think you're happy or they think it's the life they want, but they don't even know how you feel doing it.
Totally. Totally. When it like really like what it comes down to is like, I think the actual, if there were to be a program to sell, if there were to be like a thing, like it would actually be more related to stepping out of your comfort zone. Like it would be like just start a podcast or something like that. Like it would be like those sort of things, like where it's like, and I've had trouble with the like people say get out of your comfort zone, and like my brain is like, yeah, but I don't like skydiving. Like I'm not like
you gotta go, man.
No,
we're
no,
going.
no.
Yeah,
maybe one day you guys can like get me really fucked up and then just push me off the plane.
Yeah, but it's crazy because it's like you go up and you jump out of the plane and you're like, it's sort of a near death, and you come down, and then like when you're standing on the ground, it feels so much different when you're standing on the earth again.
Right, I bet.
Because you're like up there and you're like, holy shit, and then it's like you feel so much more comfortable and confident being on the ground after you were just in the plane. Enough. It's crazy. So you got to do it.
Yeah. Fuck. That's going to be a hard one to get me to do. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, I'm not like this crazy person where I want to do anything.
Yeah, you know?
Like, oh, man, I'm really scared of heights.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even want to jump off of freaking anything. So, but when I think of like when people like it goes back to the like you need to be an astronaut when you grow up. It's like no, like really you could just be like a guy who makes videos or like a guy who like calls people on the phone. Like there's so many jobs. Like the thing is like stepping out of your comfort zone, like it doesn't have to be a giant leap out of a freaking airplane. It literally just needs to be like maybe you're thinking in a different way for a whole week, or like maybe you're not drinking pop for a whole week.
I think it's just constant steps in that direction, like,
little steps.
Like continuous action towards new things that are like, you know, maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but just trying new stuff all the time and staying open-minded about things and learning and taking, you know, not always thinking you're right. And that's something that I struggle with for a long, you know, I think everybody does. It's like, you know, you always kind of believe what you think is right, or like, why else would you believe that?
Yeah.
But it's being able to, you know, listen to what other people have to say and take into account like, okay, you know what they said there is good. I don't really believe that, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. But being able to take in information from everybody else and learn and just keep moving.
Yeah. Well, no, that's been one of the hardest parts about running a small business is like obviously you started the thing, so it's you think you're right, like you like all these like you've got to enforce the way you've been doing things so that it keeps going the same way. But at the same time, like this is a real scenario that just happened in our business. One of our employees drafted a blog post, so she wrote 700 words in a blog post. It was about lawn care. And then I read through that same blog post and I was like, this is shit. This is crap. It's all wrong. I don't like how it reads. I don't like how it looks. We need more content. It's not depthful enough. So what do? I go through and rewrite it because I'm obviously right? You know? So then I pass it off to the web developer to take this written piece of text and put it on the internet as a blog post. You know what he does? The first thing he looks at it after I rewrite it, he says, who the hell wrote this? It looks like shit. And then he rewrites it. And you know what? So now that blog post, like I just let him rewrite it. I trust his whatever. I trust him, right? He can rewrite it. He's good at English. It got posted on the internet. But what I learned there is you could keep passing that blog post through an endless amount of people. Every single person's going to change it. And it's never going to be perfect, and it's there's never going to be the best one, and I'm not going to be the right person, and it's not going to be right. Like there's no right and there's no perfect, and like I needed to accept that as like the operator of the business, right? Like, you know, like maybe I don't like how it's written, but you know, it doesn't matter if I like it. It just doesn't matter if I like it. It's okay. You know, so like giving that up was actually really hard with small business because you're
used to trying to like control everything and have it all your way.
And that's what got you there. So like there's that anxiety of like, you know what, like maybe these people I hired are smarter than me and I should follow them. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe these people I hired are dumber than me and I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what got everyone here, so let's do it my way.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to balance. And that's like the little steps of like getting out of your comfort zone. It's like, it's not like get out of your comfort zone, start a new business and hire an employee today. It's like little things.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just accepting someone's recipe on how they cook food differently, like that could step you out of your comfort zone. Be like, man, I really like chickpeas now. You know, like,
yeah. And I think
know.
the perfectionist kind of thing is something that people struggle with a lot, especially in business and other things. Like for me, even starting this podcast, it was huge where I'm like, fuck, like that sounds like shit. This sounds like shit. Every time I listen to when I re-listen and edit, I'm like, nope, I don't like that. I don't like this. Re-record that. I'm like trying to make everything so perfect. At the end of the day, like, doesn't matter what you start doing, it's always going to change. So like, even if you think you've got it perfect right now, in a year from whatever's perfect right now is going to be so much different that it's irrelevant. It's like, you just need to take that action and get stuff out there, get moving, and that's it. Just roll with it. And as things change, be cool with that and, you know, try new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, you know, talk about that a lot too, where like, okay, try hiring someone. What's the worst that's going to happen? You lose a couple grand and then you go back to where you are. Like, who gives a shit? Yeah,
exactly. And it's always like what Lucas and I've learned is like, it's actually better to hire someone who might not like, this is maybe people won't agree with this, but like hiring someone that might not be a perfect fit for the job is actually okay, because there's like, they're learning this new job, but you're learning how to train this new position. And like, if you had an all-star and you had a B-star player, like, and this is your first time doing it, like, actually you might want to start with the B player because you don't want to fuck up with the A game. You know, like it's like, it's a test on both people's sides, right? Like, it's a comfort zone of like, well, I'm 22. I've never really hired anyone. Yeah. So like, what do I do? How do I do this right? Where like, you know, it actually wasn't really about the person. She didn't work out, but that has like, it was a positive experience all around because she got paid, I didn't lose too much money, and I gained valuable experience. And now I'm going to do it properly next time, way better. And properly doesn't mean perfect. It just means better. Yeah. So like, and that's a big part of it too. Like, just be okay with being wrong. Like that goes back to what we were just talking about, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and like, I've like, my dad is very like egotistical, like, and I get all these things from you. Like, I think like it's heretical. Like, I get anxiety from my dad. I get, my dad actually has like the skin condition. I have a little bit of the same skin conditions from my dad. Like, I have things from my mom. Like, so like, you get all these things from your parents. And, one of the things I got was just being scared to be like wrong, kind of thing. And, and like, it's totally okay. Yeah. And like, there's people who like won't accept when they're wrong. Like, they'll be like, yeah, but like, like, and then they just shoot something back at you, and it's like, man, really? Like, how about we're both wrong? Like, okay, like, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think a lot of times there's no wrong or right. It's just your opinion. It's like, it's what you believe. And like, I hate when people try and tell people what to believe. And I've had that a lot, especially with my recent dive into the health related stuff. I mean, there's so many things, right? And there's people who believe in the Western medical system, and people believe in more holistic things like I do, and like the drive going back and forth. And there's people right in the middle who work with both and connect the two. And like, and especially when you get into people's health, people get really passionate about it. I mean, like, you know, if you're talking about like a cell phone, I guess people are really passionate about those nowadays too. But, you know, usually your health is more intense, and people will tell you, like, you know, me all the time, they're like, oh, eat what you eat doesn't matter. Like, I can't believe you would believe that. Like, that's so stupid and shit like that. And I'm like, man, like, at the end of the day, if you don't believe it, that's fine. Like, I don't care, but I don't know. I don't like bashing what other people believe and telling them what to believe. If they ask, I'm happy to share my opinion and let them, you know, take from it what they think is good and leave what they don't. And I mean, I think people have a really tough time with that. Everyone trying to tell you what to do or what's right or whatever.
They're right. This source came from this.
Yeah.
Like, well, this is a really good source.
And I think a lot of people are really believable in like they'll just believe anything they hear. Like, they watch
Yeah.
the news and they see all this dumb shit that, like, I don't watch, or like stuff they see online. And it's like, for me, when I, like, you got to research the research. When I'm doing this health research, I see an article and I read the research article. Then I research the research article to see where it came from, who put it together, what industries were in on it, all that kind of stuff. And like, you really do have to dive into that stuff and figure out what is true, what you actually believe. You can't just believe everything you hear right away.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have much context behind anything. They say that they're right and you're wrong, but then when you really get into it, they don't really have much behind it.
Yeah, and like we're in like the day and age of like headlines. Like everything is five words max, because otherwise people don't give a shit. So it's like blah 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 blah. Oh well, shit. But like it's like it's straight up headline culture where like and honestly, like as most like schools, college is dropping, so less and less people know how to like read and produce and like make research papers and actually do like nice like thoughtful articles like with data and actual sources. And that is slowly like, one, they're like there's less of them. Two, they're behind paywalls, and then three, like all the money funding all these things is from the other side, and not like trying to get political, but even with food, like the people screaming dairy is great is just Ag Report. The dairy company.
It's all funded by the big players.
You know, so it's like that. You're in a world of headlines and misinformation. So like, and the world of everyone's the expert. So it's
it's really tough to find good information and like how to make your own opinions, and you know, you've got to have your own sort of stuff in place for that allows you to believe what you believe and why it is. And a lot of people don't really have that.
Well, you ask like these big like you study these big people who are like very successful, like a Kevin Hart or like a Dwayne Johnson or something like that. Like they're very successful. Like anyone would just be like, yeah, that's a genuinely very successful person in many different faucets. But like you ask these people and it really comes down to their own principles. Like they wake up every day, and the reason why they don't have a shitty day is because they start their day reinforcing, you know, the same thing as last day. Like something I struggle with, same thing. Like I have a different mindset every day. So like the only way you're going to enforce that is like literally writing it out on paper and like preaching it to yourself like a Bible. Like, you know, these are my like, this is my foundation. Like these are the things I follow, and like I'm gonna choose to believe everything based on these points. Because if you don't have those points, like you're gonna be swayed each time.
Yeah, exactly.
Know? And like from a person with like SEO knowledge, like every top article on the top of Google. Well, like so Google, it's a game of search engine optimization. Like you're playing for keywords and keyword density, and like. This is from a technical perspective, but then in the real world, what this results in is like all these top articles, all these, when you search like top 10 foods for good health, that it's not like actual information. It's all just like bullshit.
It's just whoever knows the algorithms.
Yeah.
You're basically buying, if you're whatever you're searching, you're buying the person who's best at SEO. You're not buying what's actually best.
Dumped as much money in marketing to get up to the top, right? And now with Google ads and Facebook ads, your whole feed is filled with misinformation. And it's like that actually like running like a consultancy or like a PR business has helped me in that way, because like I can see all of this fake shit. Like it's all fake shit. Like every single person under 21 should probably like just not be on Instagram. Like you just shouldn't. It's not healthy. Like I've tried to limit my shit so much. Like the problem is it's a double-edged sword. Like I just said this earlier to like one of my staff. Like you could go on Instagram and find your next wife, or you could go on Instagram and far more likely just waste an hour of your freaking time. You know? So it's like it's a double-edged blade, and like Google, Facebook, anything, like the same place you find these scholarly articles is the same place you hear Donald Trump just going crazy on shit. So it's like you really have to have those like foundational, like this is what I believe on a daily basis. And that's something I'm working on like actively.
Yeah.
Because it's hard as a business owner.
Yeah, it takes constant work.
Yeah.
And the Instagram stuff's hard too, right? Because for me, like that's where I make my money. So if I'm not on there, well, what the fuck? Like,
same.
I hate being on there personally, but business wise, that's where my money comes from. So how? I mean, it's crazy trying to limit that, and then like
Yeah, I have 6 profiles to manage on Instagram, but I don't want to be on Instagram.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
That's how I pay my bills, and it's fucked up. Like it's
and especially the other thing too, like even with this podcast, we're sitting here talking, and we want to put this out for people to listen to, and what are they going to listen to it through? Instagram, social media, all that kind of stuff. So like, essentially, we're on here saying that it's shitty, but how else do you get people to hear about it?
That
so like,
double-edged sword.
Trying to find a way to like give a positive turn to that stuff would be nice. But how do you? I don't know. It's gonna be a tough thing.
Well, like I think more people like. I think this is kind of obvious now. Like maybe if I said this like 4 years ago, it'd be more insightful. But like, think of it as the new TV. Like, what channels are you watching? Like, are you fully Discovery Channel learning about cheetahs, or are you like fully like watching Maury? Like, this is just like what's, because that's the new Maury is hood videos and Complex and funny shit on Instagram is like the new like just drama and bullshit negativity moves fast. But like, why don't you just learn? Like, I love documentaries.
Yeah, and like you could definitely curate your Instagram feed to have powerful things, inspiring things, and there's lots of pages like that. I just think it's people get super sucked into all the other shit.
Yeah, well, and like the problem is all these people are making money off selling the shit, and it's just like this whole like whirlpool toilet, you know, like it's not good.
Yeah,
but I guess I would just really like want to enforce like this whole like, because I talk about my brother with this a lot, and like I think the world like is really hard on mental health right now. Like really like, man, like honestly, if you have less noise in your ears, I think you're going to be better. Like people listening to this shit, like I'm not an expert. Like anyone could go talk about anything, and that's the problem is like it's so accessible. Like you can listen to anybody talk about anything, and like really like it's a war zone. Like protect your own thoughts. Because like that's really what's like that's what's valuable is your own thoughts. Like we go into these businesses, and what makes us money is like us telling this business our thoughts about their business.
Yeah. And I think you need like having your own thoughts is really important, and that's something that I struggled with for a long time. Where, you know, I'd go out for dinner with someone who's like successful in my eyes, and they're talking, you know, you listen to what they're doing and things, and I'm like, fuck, like what the fuck am I doing? Like I should be doing that. This guy's doing this, or like you hear other people and like, but that's not what I wanted to do. Like if I wanted to do that, I'd be doing it. So like you've got to have your own thoughts and your own ideas, and you know, you can take things from other people, but you can't follow what someone else is doing just because you see them as successful. Like you really got to, you've got like the reason our businesses have worked is because it's something we're passionate about. And you want to put the hours in, you want to make it work. So you have to have that drive and that thing that you really like, that's your idea that you want to roll with, and just put the time in and make it work. Because I think, you know, trying to follow behind anybody else, I mean, it can work, but I think there's not, it doesn't have the drive. You don't have the same power behind it.
It's all like from the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like I think like, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this too, but like comparison as well, like just self comparison, like
to other people, obviously.
To other people, like comparing yourself to other people is probably one of the most harmful things you could do.
Yeah, and it sucks because I mean you do it everywhere in life. I don't, you know,
it's part of your like judgment. Like, sorry, I shouldn't do that.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Because sometimes it's like if you don't compare yourself, how do you differentiate yourself from other people or what other people are doing? And I mean, I think because most people compare just like good or bad, I guess, like, I mean, you know, better or worse, or I'm better than that person, or they're worse than me, and not really doing it that, like, I kind of try and compare people more like interests, values, things like that, because I want to hang out with people that are sort of in the same realm as me, and like not think like just because someone's not, you know, we don't have the best conversations or we're not doing necessarily the same things doesn't mean they're worse than me. It just means that they like other things and they're on their own journey. And like, that's something that I've really been struggling with lately is like, well, not lately, working on lately is everyone's on their own journey. And you can't, you know, because a lot of times I would look at people, if like someone's not running their own business and they're just working a normal job, I'm like, fuck that idiot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to talk to that person. Like, he's a fucking loser. He's working a job. Look at me. Like, I'm doing this. And then they'd sit down and they'd be talking about their job, and I'd be like, well, why the fuck don't you just start your own business or something? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who gives a shit? Like, I would spend so much time worrying about what other people are doing or comparing all that kind of shit. And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, just being able to realize that people are on their own journey and let them do that. And, you know, you can still talk and be friends and do whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I spend a lot of time just kind of not talking to people or letting relationships slip because of that. But there's obviously that fine line too, where like, I don't party and drink and do that stuff like some of the people I used to hang out with. So like, again, it's like a double-edged sword, like you talked about before. Like, if you sit and hang around with all the same people forever, you're not going to get ahead. But there's also some people that are really good friends and things like that that you can't just throw away because they work a normal job.
Oh, exactly. And it's very like, it's not good to it's conceited to not like to just think like to do that self comparison and then determine you're better.
Yeah.
And that is incredibly conceited because you're just cutting off like
Yeah.
like really, well, if your goal is to like succeed and have a great life, like really you're cutting off every single person you're surpassing. And that's not healthy in itself because like, what should I just go say I'm better than you because I've done like harder work for 1 year? Like, no, that's actually like, and it's interesting because you took the self comparison where the way like you're comparing yourself being better to others, whereas like for me,
well,
like,
I do both, but
yeah, there's the both sides of it, which is interesting. Like the side I stay focused on and have troubles with is me comparing myself to be shittier than these people I look up to. And that is like it's very harming. You shouldn't be doing that. Like maybe you should be like, yeah, I want to like have a similar goal, but you should never be like doing the self comparison. And it's funny because I think I'm actually good on the other side, like the side of me, like I don't think I'm better than other people. And I think that's like what I got from growing up. Like I'm very like grounded, like my mom, like she doesn't have an income. My dad, like I make more money than my dad in a single month. Like it's like very grounding. But then at the same time, there's this other side, which I struggle with. And I think different people struggle with the different sides of it. But I struggle with like, I look up all these people because I'm constantly trying to be better. Like sometimes I look up to you. I'm like, dude, like that's sick. Like you're just like, you're like, don't work as hard as I do, you know, but like there's all these like, why that's not a fair comparison. You're much older than me. Like you've done different things. There's so many, like no comparison is fair. And I think that's my point I'm trying to drive home is it's not fair. And you're the person you're not being fair to is yourself with it.
Yeah. And I think it's also like the grass always looks greener on the other side. Like, I worked fucking, all I did was work for 3 years, didn't do anything, couldn't afford anything. Like, I had a house, but fuck, all my money went to my house, my business, like just getting by. I wasn't doing anything. So, except working. And, you know, people forget about that. They see where you're at now and like, man, like, guys got it easy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, fuck, like, you weren't there 4 years ago when I didn't do anything but fucking work.
Exactly.
And I think I'm kind of like pretty 50-50 in the middle of like comparing like who I should be hanging out with and then also getting down on myself about people who are better than that I think, you know, are better than me or whatever. But recently I've really realized like going to some of the mastermind like entrepreneur events that we go to is that a lot of the people that I look up to, everything's just better, you know, everything's happier than it seems. So you see on Instagram and all these people are posting and there's, you know, people I know running $10 million businesses and I think they're living the dream and they're out traveling and doing these things. And then when I get there in person and I start explaining how I'm not really happy with my business anymore, I want to do something that's more meaningful and can help people and share my story. And, you know, we know so many people now with these cool stories and they're like, you know, everyone's in the same boat. They're all like, yeah, you know what, honestly, like, fuck, I want something more meaning or my business isn't going that well. I'm hating it. And like, but you would never know that by seeing just their Instagram. And like, people are looking up to these people that they actually have no idea what their lives are like.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big problem. And I've really like kind of locked that in this year of like, it's never what it seems and like really being okay with that. And like, it makes, you know, it's made me feel a lot better about everything that I'm doing because I mean, like even for me, it's like to someone who, like, you know, you're looking at where I'm at, with like not having to work a lot, and you know, I'm making money and doing my thing, which is cool. But for me, I'm looking like, fuck, like, what the hell am I doing? I could be making this much money. What the fuck? So, like, you know, 5 years ago, I'm where I wanted to be, but I don't appreciate that because now I'm like, fuck, I should be making 100 million.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? So being able to find that spot, and again, it just comes down to like really being okay with where you're at and being happy like every day.
It's understanding your journey. Like,
yeah. And it's always going to, you know, just being happy with what you have now, doesn't matter what it is. And, you know, just actually living life and enjoying it.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, you gotta, like, there's this whole, like, my brother is young and he thinks there's, like, he's younger, and he thinks there's this, like, end point, or it's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'm gonna become a professional football player, or something, professional rugby player, even maybe basketball kind of thing. And it's like, well, yeah, but you missed my question. Like, cool, you might eventually get there, but, like, your life, like, the whole, like, transition point to getting there, like, how are you actually, like, it's literally the journey. Like, these people are on different, everyone you see on Instagram, like, that picture is like a different part of the journey, and, like, it's fucked up because it could actually be from 3 years ago. And it's like, it's part of their journey, and, like, you need to realize that that's not their, like, outcome, where they just got, like, it's not like they went through this water slide and they popped out in, like, Greece and they're like, you know, it's awesome. Like, no, like, that's just where they are today, and that's their journey. And, like, that, whether or not that's real or fake, and, like, I think people understanding, like, their journey, like, literally, like, it's about liking each day, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's taking action towards something that you want to do every day. If you want to be a professional football player, rugby player, there's nothing wrong with that. But, like, do something, you know, if you like it. Like, there's just a lot of people that say they want to do these things, and then they don't really do anything. They just, like, expect that it's going to come to them. They're like, oh yeah, I'll just be that.
Or they run through the hardest path, which is direct. Like, they run directly to it, which is like, maybe you should like, go be friends with your football coach.
Yeah.
Because that might get you a connection with the scout, which might get you on your next team, which, like, I don't know shit about anything on sports, but, like, maybe it's that, like, maybe it's this weird roundabout loopy way. Maybe you gotta flank it from behind, like, straight up, like, and that's where I think enjoying your day comes from, because you're not going to be successful in your mission to get somewhere if you, like, give up third way through, you know? So
yeah, I think that just comes back to like thinking your own way and thinking outside the box and doing things like what makes sense to you, not everybody else, because that is what can get you there a lot of times too. You're not following the path of every other person who wants to be a professional football player. You're going out there and doing your own thing, and maybe trying other things and whatever it is. And when you get there at the end, you're going to have a lot more than those other people do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess the takeaway from this is, while you're listening to this podcast, don't listen to this podcast. You know what I mean? Like, listen to this and take away, like, don't actually take a point from it, form your own point from it and save that, and then take that with you, and, like, do that with everything in the world. Like, go to the sushi restaurant and take your takeaway from it, like, eat the food, but then also, like, take a takeaway from it and, like, actually, like, I don't know, build on it, and really just, like, I think enforcing people's like, self-belief. Like, it's really hard to be self-confident. Like, everybody has their own little thing, like, that is not going to allow you to be self-confident, and I think literally everyone has that, but like, it's really powerful, you know, just be self-confident with your own thoughts in your own mind, and then you can further take that and empower other people, I think.
Yeah, if you can't be happy with yourself or see yourself doing the things like how you, like, I mean, I did this public speaking course, and one of the exercises after the 3 days, we did this exercise that you just take a piece of paper, tape it on everybody's back, and then you go around and you write like 1 or 2 words on that person's back, what you think about them. We've only known these people for 3 days. And I wasn't really thinking about what people were going to write on mine. I was just like, oh, whatever. Like, I don't know. I was just writing things in other people's. And it didn't take very long, like 10 minutes. And then you sit down, you pull them off, and you see what people write about you. And I was super surprised. Like when I pulled the piece of paper off and sitting there, I'm looking at it, and they wrote things like leader, cool, walking your own path, like inspiring, and all these things that, like, in my mind I'd always dreamed of being, right? Like those are the things everybody wants people to say about them, and things that, you know, everyone dreams of, like being a leader or being like, you know, being cool. That's what like what, I don't know, like that's what people want.
Yeah.
And you know, I never had saw myself as that. You know, I always thought, you know, I'll be cool when I do this, or I'll be a leader if I do that. And I never thought of myself as actually being that way. And it's now, like with the podcast, wanting to start that, like, if I don't see myself as a leader or as cool, how is anybody else going to do that? How am I supposed to show up as a leader for other people if you don't see yourself like that? So I think you've really got to be able to have, you know, you've got to see yourself as what you want to be, and do that, and have the confidence to do that.
That's that like reverse engineering aspect of it, where it's like, yeah, that's super important. And because you can reverse engineer, like, so people are like, how do you get self-confidence? Like reverse engineer it. Like it all starts with like literally dreaming it up in your mind, and like, all right, like with our goal with the company is approaching Fortune 500 companies, which is a big like move. Like that will take years and years and years, but that's how I approach my current clients, is like the same way I'm going to do that with the bigger clients, you know? So I think reverse engineering your self-confidence with like, I don't know, which like obviously everybody struggles in different ways. Like there's parts in my life circle, like if you view life as a pie, like there's slices that I've just never touched, you know, and that maybe will be touched in 5-10 years or something like that, or maybe in 5 months, depending on how life goes, right? But like just taking the small little leaps of faith to test and grow out your life pie, I guess. That's my weird analogy for today. Everyone at the office will tell you about my weird analogies, man. Like, I'll like just say the most random shit. Like you know, I say random.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking
this
about.
This has been pretty toned, you know. Like this podcast has been pretty toned. So, speaking of toned, I'm more toned too. So, like, you know, looking at myself, like, better haircut, more toned, and I'm happier. So if anyone else is looking to slide in the DMs, hit Shelby for my number. I'm more toned.
Well, to finish off, let's just, like, where's your business at now? I mean, like, you started, you know, you grew up, you moved out, you started, you had the web design stuff, and you kind of flew through that. But like, where are you guys at now, and kind of what are your next steps over the next little bit here?
So yeah, Fire PR is the business, and it's gone through a bunch of different names and versions, and it's stemmed a bunch of different things. But Fire PR is it's really a consultancy. Like we focus on growing your business through PR related functions, and that includes like just general PR stuff, like, you know, what the public is thinking about your company, and then we also, you know, employ advertising and marketing, you know. Just like every other business. So Fire PR, like when you look at the nitty gritty, we're doing websites, Google ads, Facebook ads, you know, all the same stuff that's pushed in your face, you know, just everywhere, right? Like, and we're doing that. We've got a small office now. We were at 5 staff members. Honestly, 2 days ago, we fired one of our staff, and then, yesterday I actually fired a client too, which was really interesting. So like, imagine, like, I've known this, like, and that was like, that's part of stepping out of your comfort zone, is like, man, I've known this client for 4 years. So imagine telling someone you've known and worked with on a daily basis for 4 years just to fuck off. Like, that's hard. Like, like, it was hard with me and Lucas. Like, I got super like anxiety, like, and emotional with Lucas, because I'm like, dude, like, yeah, this is our business, but I brought this client on. Like, I've been working and forming this relationship for 4 years, and now that this other thing I've built, Fire PR, our business, doesn't actually fit with this other thing I've built. And you know what? Like, it's really, really hard, and I had to do it. And I said, like, this one part of my life is bigger and better than this other part of my life, which is the client. So I had to tell that client to just straight up do not text, call, or email me anymore. Please do not. Like, there will be no further negotiations, and we will not communicate. And that was really hard.
Yeah, I mean,
way more harder to fire a client than an employee, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, when you realize you've outgrown that. But I think it's a really good place to be, like, especially for me in business, when you really get to choose your clients now. You're not having to just that
feels good.
Take people, and you can, sometimes it sucks because you build those relationships. But then, I mean, the past year, that's all I've done is, since we eliminated working in the shop, only doing production and selling parts, I had to eliminate every single customer that wanted physical work done on their vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and how can you just you've built this thing yourself, and like people are like coming and they're like, hey, like I will pay you money for anything.
Yeah.
You're just like, no.
Yeah, and it's weird.
I don't want your money.
And they don't get it, and some of them get mad. And they're like, what do you mean you don't want my money? I'm going to pay. And I'm like, sorry, man, that's just not what we do anymore. Like, if you want to buy parts, you can have all the parts you want, but unfortunately, we just don't do that.
Yeah, which so that's been really hard. Like, and I think for you too, like, because you built a business you like, and now life has just changed, right? And you like it, obviously. Still, it's your baby, but like, things have changed. And that's really hard, because one day I'm gonna have to fire all my clients. Sorry, clients, but don't listen to this. If you listen to this and remind me, I won't fire you, but I'll give you a deal, grandfather you in. But like that's the whole part of growth, is like you have to cut things off, and I think that is really, really hard. Like, it's
just always taking that next leap.
Yeah, and that's the comfort levels. So step out.
So now so you guys are, so what's the next kind of steps with the business?
Next steps, well, we've got an incredible partnership. So we've partnered with one of the top, I got to keep it like a little bit closed. But like we partnered with one of the top medical suppliers in Canada. It's an $18 billion company. We've partnered with one of their top sales reps in BC here. And what we're going to do is start leveraging that relationship to bring on clients in a specific space. So we want to we've got 4 employees now, and we've really been building our systems. Like, we need probably 1 more employee immediately. Like, if you're a copywriter, let me know. But like, we need just to keep like what we've been focusing on is our systems, and we've got like, I'll go toe to toe with any business my size for systems. Like, we got the best systems. Like, it's sick. Like, I have my phone texts me in the morning, like asking me how my day was. It's the best system, Like, we've got so many systems, and that's what we've been focusing on this whole year, is like really like our product market placement was good. So like what that means is like our product fit the market really well. Like if we go talk to customers about our product, they're usually receptive. Like, we don't lose a lot of meetings. Like, we've lost meetings. Like, I've gone and give people free value and not got their business. But for the most part, we usually close business when we go meet them. So the product market fit's good. Like, next, we're just really working on our systems and getting the delivery of like the work really good. Like, right now, because we're a brand new small business, we're struggling to get like output as fast enough. Like, people are at my door with money in their hand, and we can't do it fast enough. We can't do the work fast enough, and these clients get mad, right? Like, I've given you thousands of dollars, where's my shit? And it's like, well, shit. I'm busy, man, like literally. So what we're trying to do is perfect that process, build our systems, cut a lot of the bloat, which includes cutting shitty clients. Like, the one client didn't fit for us, so we cut that out. We're trying to focus and really drive down what we want, and that's what's coming next with the business. Really, like the product market fit's good, our systems are good, and we've lucked out with some really good talent at the start. Like, we've got a solid web developer, got a solid graphic designer, so we do need a really solid copywriter, and with Lucas and I's kind of full stack traits, we can kind of service everything more or less with that. Like, we do contract out photographers and videographers and stuff like that. But what's next is basically just really ironing out, like making this whole next year is about finding what clients are going to work best for us, and kind of reiterating that until it's perfect. Like, we've had so much luck in just like, really, you're not just gonna like start like January 1st and be like, I'm starting a new business, and like you're not gonna just be able to like start and go get, like, the real way people start businesses is like, say you like fixing cars, you know, that's, you start with this little hobby, you know, you like fixing cars, and then eventually your neighbor's like, yeah, I need my oil changed at the same time. So then you fix their car, do the oil change, and then like now her brother needs that, and now your girlfriend needs her car fixed, right? And you start like, oh, you're like, oh, I can make money off this. And that's how you really start a business, is like through like just like what you like. There's too many people. This is the whole Instagram headline culture where it's like, start a business now, make this much money by then. And that's all bullshit. Like, you're never, ever, ever going to do that. Like, you're not. Like, even if you have $100,000 loan from the bank, it's going to be really hard to just start a business flat, like just start running. It's impossible pretty much. So
100
like,
grand doesn't even go that far.
100 grand, no, can't go anywhere. So like, man, like really starting a business is finding what you like and then trying to leverage that into like an actual thing. And that's what Lucas was freelancing. I was freelancing. And with that, Lucas leveraged his actual job, turned his salary job into a salary client for our business. And now that relationship plus all the relationships I had for freelance is enough to actually be a stable business. So it was really like taking two things, maybe three things, putting them all together, and that is what formed the business. It wasn't just this thing that formed, right? So that's like what I would say. Yeah,
so now you're going to start just trying to build, you know, get all the systems in place, which you've pretty much done, and try and build that perfect clientele and let it roll.
That was like the fun part, man. Life is so fun because like today we're just focusing on logo and branding development for our own company. Like this is so fun. Like literally you're just like sitting there dreaming up what you would want, right? Like it's awesome.
Building out what everybody's going to see.
But I think a lot of people start with that. Like right now we're making our logo. You know what? We needed a logo 18 months ago, but we're doing it now because for the past 18 months, we've been servicing clients without a logo. And like many people will just be like, I'm making an agency. I need a name. I need a logo. I need, you know, this, I need a website. Like no agency brings in work through their website. Like, that's not how it works. Like if you actually knew how to like do marketing and you were in the space and you were into it, you'd realize that all these fancy agency marketing websites, like it's not what is bringing in. It's not what's bringing in the clients. Like really like focus on what brings money. Like and maybe like not in life, but in business, focus on money. Like definitely focus on money. Like,
well, the problem is like you don't have a business that's successful if you're not making money.
Like
it's just trying to do just trying to do something good with it, right?
But business is awesome. Like we are, man, if we can continue to grow at the same pace, like like as we and be in this same place next year, like man, that would be absolutely phenomenal. Like we would have a real office, a real staff. Like I'd be able to like pay people way better. I'd be able to give like real stuff. Like I want to like help people. I'll give them like health benefits and stuff. Like actually have real company trips and stuff like that. And like that's
build a culture.
Cause like I don't want to work in a place, like I don't want to just leave my office or not want to go to my office because I don't like those people. Like I want to go there and like those people. And that's why I think what we're doing is so awesome, because eventually my whole life is just going to be encapsulated in this whole business, which is something Jeff Bezos has actually put out there recently a lot. The concept of work-life circle, not work-life balance, the work-life circle, which means like, and that's how you live too. Like maybe you start off with breakfast and then you do some like 2 hours of work, and then you go do something with your friend, and then maybe you go to the gym, and then you come back late at night and do work. Like that's the way Jeff Bezos from Amazon explains it, is like, yes, he's like the world's most rich person, biggest business, blah, blah. But like the dude spends an hour or two every day in the morning time with his kids and his wife. And that's like the work-life circle. So like for me, it's like my whole life is we live on this circle. My life is a circle. I want like work and life to be completely together, like mended together. And because like I'm not like I don't need friends. If all my employees are friends, like why don't we just all go biking? Like that's sick. Like, you know, like, so I think that's gonna,
because you're trying to build that group of like-minded people and everyone's on the same sort of page, and then you can do that.
It'd be so sick. Life is awesome.
So that's the dream now.
Yeah.
The next goals.
Which like honestly, like the trouble I'm having now is it's kind of like you. Like I'm not so in love with websites anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I could code a pretty good website. But I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't even have a website for myself because like I don't want to do that. It would not
you're
be
just
fun.
you're more into the bigger picture now.
Yeah, and it's so fun. But
yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see where all that goes for you guys in the next couple of years, and it's really cool to see where you came from and where you are now and all the stuff that you've kind of been through. And I mean, I think that's really awesome that, that you made it through all that stuff and you're able to do all these things, and it'd be inspiring for other people who want to do that and get out there and take a chance and make things happen and build that life for themselves that they wanted, whether they could, had it when they were younger or not. And yeah,
man, thank you.
So thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll do another one in the near future.
Oh, we're gonna do one every year. Every year we'll do a
yearly catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay. You got any final words?
No, just thank you. This is pretty inspiring for me too, because like it's helpful for like even if you're not on a podcast, like go write your fucking life on a piece of paper. That's like, like this has been helpful because I can recollect all those things and kind of put it back into order. So that's been really helpful for me. So thanks for and like also I don't think a lot of people get the opportunity to talk. Like going back to my grandma, I was raised to just be like only speak when you're spoken to and be very polite, please, thank you, and that's it. Thanks for giving me the ability to talk.
Well, that's the idea. Get a platform for people to come on and express themselves and say, share their lives and experiences, and in the hopes of helping others in the same positions and things. So awesome. Well, I appreciate coming out, and we'll talk soon. Man.
Love you.
Love you.
Signing off.